Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah and today is day 6 of the 2018 Inktober challenge. So the word prompt for today is drooling and I've chosen to paint a St Bernard dog. As immediately I saw this prompt I thought of the film Beethoven, and if you've not seen it then you ought to go and check it out. Beethoven is a particularly drooly and slobbery dog in this movie, so that was my inspiration. The technique that I wanted to try out today was just by using my Dr. P.H. Martin's black ink to lay down an underpainting, and I thought this would be really useful and help speed up my whole painting process just by kind of mapping out initially the different values, the dark and the light areas. And I think this method is called the grisaille method, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it's called, where you just kind of do that underpainting, and I thought it would be useful especially on certain areas that were quite detailed, as I had planned on adding coloured ink on the top and I didn't want to kind of lose sight of the different anatomy and the structure of the dog's face, because initially I was a little bit worried because it's quite a detailed mouth area and I didn't want to get kind of lost or bogged down and do things wrong. So I thought this was a good way of kind of marking those areas out first, and then when I did go in and add the colour I would have less to worry about because those values and the structure were already there in place. And I think this did work really well. I did feel a bit more confident to then go in with colour, knowing that the different values were already down. So I think this is something that I will be using again. It might not work for every painting, as maybe, or it could work with every painting, but I think you obviously couldn't use it on a painting where you've got quite a light colour that you wanted to put over the top. But in that instance you might just be able to use a lighter ink in the first place. So it's something that I may be experimenting with a little bit more later on in the month or as the days go past, depending on what the word prompt is and the animal that I choose for that day. But generally I found this a really useful technique. It also helped me to speed up with the whole process because you're kind of separating out the different areas at a time. You're not kind of going in and doing everything all at once. So you kind of mark out the different values, do that underpainting, and then go over with the colour separately. So yeah, I don't know, is it something that you've tried before, this method, or not, or if you've tried it and liked it or not liked it, so let me know in the comments. But I definitely think that it helped with the whole sort of process as a whole and helped me speed up. I think I did take about an hour and a half to do this complete picture, which is slightly over what my new aim of 1 hour is, but I think it was worth spending that extra time doing that underpainting just to make the rest of the colouring side of things a little bit quicker. And as you can see, as I'm going in with the darker areas, you can kind of see the contrast already, and then it's not going to be too difficult to put in the colour after that's all dry. And another thing that I thought would be an advantage of this technique is once you have laid everything down in ink, the advantage of using ink is that obviously it dries waterproof. So when you then go in and put any colour on it, it's not going to reactivate or move around on the paper, it's permanent. So I think one of the things that I've discovered today is that I need to perhaps stop using the inks so much like watercolour and start using them as inks and taking advantage of the different properties of inks, so their permanence and that kind of thing. As you can also see here, I did try and use a cocktail stick just to kind of pull out some of those little hairs, and that kind of worked to a point. I didn't want to do too much detail on the ear and this side of the face. I wanted to kind of make it a little bit looser and blend some really nice rich colours in as well. And I think I managed to do that, and that's something that I've noticed that I've got better with over the last couple of days, is being a bit more confident with colour. Now, one thing I wasn't too happy about with this piece was something that I didn't even realise at the time of painting. It was only when I went back to it and had a look that I kind of almost realised I'd forgotten to do, and that was the area on top of his head. Now you can see my pencil guideline over the top of his head there, where the area of hair is still white, and I just kind of left that bit, and that's something that I can go in and fix at a later time, but when I was doing this painting I just didn't even think about it. So perhaps even having a little bit of ink just over the top of his head, or even drawing a bit of a coloured background just to make that stand out as being part of his head and not just being a pencil line left there. So that was just more like an oversight, but I guess that's the advantage of being able to take a step back and go back to your painting, if you've got time on your side at least. But even if you go off and have a 5-minute break to come back and reassess your painting, look at it with fresh eyes, is a really good method of kind of critiquing and assessing your own work. So just moving on to the mouth area, and I definitely found having this underpainting down to start with, I definitely found it made the applying of the colour a lot easier. I knew where everything was, I knew the anatomy was kind of right in the first place, so that was a real bonus and helped me do this far more quickly, I think, than if I'd not got that down in the first place. So as I did with the chicken the other day, I did try and leave the bottom part of the dog's neck kind of a little bit unfinished after doing the collar, so that it did kind of have a bit more of a looser arty feel, and I'm still quite liking that technique. But just to finish this painting off today, I did just go in with, as you saw me there, just holding up Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white, because I've had a few difficulties with the white inks that I've got. They seem to be a little bit too transparent to actually lay down on top of darker colours, and this bleed proof white is a fairly new supply. I haven't used it before, and it's possibly bending the rules a little bit, as it may not be ink based, but I haven't had too much time to look into it. I just thought it would finish off my painting quite nicely and give me the chance to just pull out those highlights. So all in all, I was pretty happy with how things turned out. I did just use that bleed proof white right at the end just to kind of blend the white area of the dog's face or nose, as you can see me doing, with the darker area, just to kind of make it look a bit more cohesive and all part of the same thing. So all in all, I think it turned out okay. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this painting, or if you've used that grisaille method that I mentioned and how you found that. Did you find it helpful or not? I'd like to know your thoughts on that. One other thing that I did regret when doing this piece was the whole splattering thing. So I wanted to kind of make the dog look a bit drooly by adding some splatters, but I think this method might be better in hindsight, using it as I go rather than as an afterthought. But anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you tomorrow.